Welcome all to our preview of the highly anticipated UFC China card, where we're getting a lot of road to the UFC fighters. We're getting a Piotr Jan versus Figgy main event that should be super fun. Let's dive into our prelim picks here.
Ni hao, damn it, I screwed it up. I was trying to say hello, long time no see, which is how Joe Bujian, if I remember correctly.
Wait,
But
try it again. We can cut it in
we can cut it
post.
and get it. Ni hao, Joe. Damn it, I can't even remember how to say it. It's been that long since I started Chinese. So focus on the card and not on my Chinese. Let's go ahead and get into this. Jackson Kiru Sahoto, or Sahota. My pronunciation is clearly tier 1 today. From Manchester top team, what should we like about this guy outside of him being 12-2 here?
Yeah, so I believe his opponent Dong Hoon Choi is IPOing at $4.50. So we're getting a pretty good value for Kiri here. Last time I checked, he is a slight underdog elsewhere, but like a 50-cent difference is going to be a little bit better value than like a minus 114 to a minus 105 dog or something, I'd say. So good value here for Kiru. He is a long guy, uses his length relatively well, pretty technical. Throws punches from the outside, bounces on his toes well. Good head kicks, good body kicks. He definitely invests in the body. Solid takedown defense because he does a really good job of widening his base. He has kind of like a martial arts inspired stance, does a good job of staying balanced because of that. Not the most powerful guy, but he's, high volume, technical, like I said. He uses that length to piece you up from the outside, moves in when he sees an opportunity, and then circles back out. Dong Hoon Choi, he's also a striker with a wide stance. He definitely can be hittable, but he's definitely durable. He, I would say, works in the wrestling a little bit more than does Kiru, but his control isn't really that good. Kiru also has pretty good get-up game. Um, Takedowns work for him because he's oftentimes low volume on the feet, can catch his opponent sleeping and then just leap in with a takedown. Um, he's overall tough guy, good cardio, can definitely take over fights with his wrestling late if he's not seeing what he needs to be in the striking department. Um, and I just don't really get why Choi is the favorite here. He's a low volume striker. Like he occasionally shoots takedowns. He gets bodied a lot, like weight bullied, pushed around, is a bit chinny. Kiru's range, technicality, ability to do damage pretty much everywhere, I think, is just going to be the difference maker against Dong Hoon. I think he could finish the fight. I am going to predict a decision here, though. I think Kiru's pretty good investment this week.
All right, I like it. Bergang GLAC. I feel like that was a decent attempt at least. Not going to attempt even coming close to trying to name the guys he fought there. But walk us through this one. Looks like a road to UFC guy, like you were telling me about preemptively on here. So what should we be expecting from B? I'll call him BJ. Nope, gonna call him B. Gonna call him B.
Yeah, Band Gang Gialiski. Going up against Su Young Yu. Let me look up the price for Su Young right here because I don't have it in front of me. I know Buyer Gang is cheaper, but
I always wonder if people just listen to this sometimes in my commentary and just laugh to themselves. Like, what is this guy doing?
nah, dude, it's definitely helpful insight. Um,
Yes, my nickname is very helpful.
Su Young Yu, $4.05 to Buyer Gang's $3.75. And Su Young Yu, pretty much a chain wrestler. I would say he'll be shooting takedowns immediately out of the gate. Um, he attempts a ton per fight. Like not the best top control at all. Can definitely be sloppy on the feet, but he is nonstop pressure. Good grappler, always looking for a submission. Uh, Bear Gang is a pretty long guy for the division. Uses the length well. Cuts off the cage. Uh, Tries to keep you in the middle of the cage. Um, Stands tall relative to this division and the other people in it, but he has really good takedown defense. A lot of people try to shoot on him too, so that's over a pretty big sample size because it obviously makes sense to shoot on a guy who's so long. But he's always looking to hurt you on the feet. When he gets you to the ground, he has decent ground and pound on top, pretty fast in transitioning positions. Su Young Yu is a good wrestler, a relatively good wrestler, I'd say, but he definitely can shoot desperately at times if he's not getting them early and if he gasses out a little bit. And we've seen Bear Gang take on wrestlers like this multiple times before. We know Su Young is going to go towards the wrestling, and that Bear Gang has that really good takedown defense, especially relative to his size. So I'm thinking a knockout here for Bear Gang. I think, is just a bit unpolished. Him as a favorite is just weird to me. So I think Bear Gang is a good investment here.
Big fan. And I also like the name Bear Gang a lot better than how I was trying to pronounce it.
I don't honestly. I've seen this spelled completely differently. I've seen it spelled Balgyn and then Genesuli. So it's completely up in the air whether or not I'm saying this shit right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. The way some names come about, always interesting.
I know.
But on to the next fight here. So we have Zhang Mingyang versus Ozzy Diaz. I think I got that one. We got tattoos versus no tattoos. One with his family and refused to lose on him versus Zhang Mingyang.
Yep.
We'd be expected out of this one.
So I think we're getting good value here. Really good value for Zhang Mingyang. Ozzy is the former LFA champion, big striker, moves well. Good grappling. Definitely not a grappler, though. He can find finishes in the clinch or from distance. Overall creative striker, very tough. Can be hit and is a bit chinny, but he, is accomplished in LFA. Fought a lot of his career at middleweight. Zhang is a dangerous guy, mostly grounded pound, though. Generally looking to mix things up in the striking and then work it to the ground when he sees an opening. And when he does, he has really good pressure on the ground. 100% finish rate you'll see on his resume is split between knockouts and submissions. But I'd say the vast majority of those knockouts you see on his resume were ground and pound TKOs. He is coming off a knockout win over Brenton Ribeiro. This fight is definitely going to end by finish. I think it's going to be Zhang to do the finishing. Ozzy probably just a bit too chinny. Doesn't have that UFC octagon experience. Zhang is the better grappler. So this is one of the more straightforward ones for me. I think I'm going with Mingyang Zhang.
I like it. I was also wondering to myself, I'm like, what if it was just like refuse to love instead of refuse to lose? Like the tattoo artist just like misspelled it. Like, whoops.
Refuse to love.
Refuse to love. I said lose.
Yeah. Low key, probably is that.
Volkan Ozdemir versus Carlos Olberg. I am familiar with the Carlos Olberg name. That one sounds a lot more familiar to me. Ozdemir, I've heard of before. Looks very straight-laced. So what should we expect between this fight? Also, always find those like chest tattoos kind of cool. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that is pretty sick. What even is that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what it is.
Dude, Carlos Olberg is a good looking dude.
I mean, shit.
Vulcan though, Vulcan looks like a full moon. Carlos, yeah, it makes sense that you've heard of him. He's a pretty big prospect, I'd say these days, or relatively bigger. Really good kickboxer who transitioned to MMA a bit ago. Good footwork, exactly what you'd expect out of a good kickboxer. Great boxing. Big guy, 6'4". He uses that to manage range exceptionally well. 8-3 striking differential, or 7.41 to 3.6. So he's an absolute beast when it comes to striking accuracy. And his only MMA loss was a fight with Kennedy Nchukwu, where he was absolutely dominating that fight. Got clipped. Unfortunate one for him there. Wasn't really a skill thing. It just got caught, basically. He is coming off a knockout win over Alonzo Menafield. Menafield was kind of just acting like an idiot in that one. Like, he just ran forward like an idiot, got clapped. Vulcan, a forward pressure striker, high volume as well, very powerful. throws often, I would say. He has 4.79 strikes landed per minute. And he doesn't have the best takedown accuracy. He does like to wrestle here and there, though. It sits at about 33%. If he's losing the striking exchanges, he has a kind of questionable chin. It can't always keep him in the fight. And he is 7-7 in the UFC, but it's worth noting that all of his losses are of very high quality. He lost to Jiri, he lost to Daniel Cormier, he lost to Ankalaev, coming off knockout win over Johnny Walker. So he could definitely fight. And all of his losses are quality. He hasn't been knocked out since 2020, which is kind of interesting to me and something I'll point out in a second here when I give my final decision. I'm still picking Olberg. I think if his takedown defense holds up against Volkan's kind of shitty takedown offense, I think it should be a cakewalk because he is the far better striker. There is a world, I think, where Volkan wins this if he can actually threaten those takedowns, get him against the cage somehow, and just keep him guessing. I think there's a world in which Volkan wins this. Olberg, ultimately, I think it's going to stay striking. Olberg is the better striker. I think this is going to go to decision, though, because of how tough Volk is.
Makes sense. I mean, damn, I didn't know that resume for Volko. That might be why I'm a little bit more familiar with the name, because like that is a crazy resume.
Yeah, no, he's fought some of the best of the best. And yeah, I'm sure when props drop for this, it'll be like Olberg by knockout at like plus 140 or something, maybe like plus 200 for Olberg by decision. But I think Volkan's tough enough to last 3 rounds against Olberg.
Yeah, I feel like with that type of resume, I would be a little bit more confident in the distance there as well.
Yeah.
This sounds like a true test. All right. Wong Sung versus Gabriela Fernandez. A little bit familiar with Wong Sung's game. I will not lie. I have at least watched her before. Now, Can I tell you anything about that game? No. That's why we have Jackson. So, Jackson, walk us through what we should be expecting out of this fight here.
Yeah, she is a kickboxer who came into MMA. She actually has a win over Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing on her resume, which is kind of sick.
That's pretty sick.
She has just really good striking, powerful, fast. Hasn't really been, her takedown defense hasn't been tested really by a good nonstop wrestler, but it seems good based on what we've seen from her so far. She's coming off a knockout win over Victoria Leonardo. That was pretty convincing. Taking on Gabriela Fernandez, who is a powerful girl, big for this weight class, fast as well, strong, relatively technical, overall fluid striker, solid BJJ in the back pocket. Takedown defense is not really technical at all. She kind of just uses her size because she's more often than not the larger opponent or larger fighter of the two. Like I said, solid BJJ. She can work off her back, but she's a little bit too comfortable on her back, I'd say. She tends to give up control time hanging out down there. And she can grapple offensively too. She had 2 takedowns in her most recent fight and win against Carly Judice. And yeah, I'd say my only question about like the 8-1 favorite Wang Kong is her takedown defense, just because, like I said, we haven't really seen it be tested by anybody. Victoria, it does not shoot straight takedowns or anything. I don't think she's going to be the girl to test Wang's takedown defense. She has nuts power. If she lands a few, I think Gabriela is going to be just out of sorts, shooting desperation takedowns. I see probably Wang Kong winning by finish here.
I like that. I actually do say I want to remember the fight because I want to say I actually had the opposite side, and I just remember her just like, because I remember you said it was like first round knockout, and I was like, oh wait, I do remember this girl.
Dude, I think I actually also had Victoria Leonardo in that fight too.
I think actually that's what it was. I think we were discussing it, and then like she came out there and she just put her lights out like immediately.
Yeah. Damn, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, something to keep in mind on. All right. So Song Kanan versus Muslim Salikov. I am a little bit more familiar with these names, more Muslim than Song Kanan. The name value sticks with Song Muslim, if I remember correctly, he is a stronger fighter between the two, a little bit more grappling intensive, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say that's
But
right.
walk me through it.
Muslim's the favorite. I think he's like a minus 190 favorite right now. So the prediction strike prices match up relatively well. Um, and yeah, like Muslim is a good fighter, solid striker, hits hard, good wrestling if he needs it. He does everything with intent. He never really holds back. Solid takedown defense and offense. Great striking. Um, Main issue is he's 40 years old. He is coming off an early knockout loss to Randy Brown, which that's now a 2-fight losing streak for him, I think. And then Song is a powerful striker, not the cleanest technique, but we've seen him beat plenty of like other fighters with just that power. Bad wrestling, I would say. Takedown defense, not the best either, but his get-up game is good. Um, Overall, hits really hard. He has knockdowns in more than half of his fights. I'd say his low fight IQ is a problem. Um, it's been a problem more than once. He's coming off a decision win over Ricky Glenn, who's like not good, where he had him basically knocked out and then just out of nowhere, like classic, just started shooting takedowns. Just not what you want to see. Like, why would you ever do that? So my thinking here is that there's a reason they're putting I'm taking Kenan Song the underdog here. I think there's a reason why they're in China putting Song up against a 40-year-old like Muslim Salikov. Like Kenan hits like a truck, and yes, he does have horrible fight IQ. I think he's going to have enough opportunities to touch up Muslim. His pretty good get-up game. Like I think if he's just aware enough, he should be able to keep this one on the feet long enough, and he's probably the better striker of the two. So I'm going with the underdog in Song.
I like it. You also get a 6-year age advantage, and every single time I watch one of the UFC things, I always love to put that in the bottom. They're like, "Did you know by this age range, they win 65% plus of the time, or whatever the hell it is?"
Yeah.
And then I go watch that fighter get knocked out. But aside from that,
and it's like I'm not a huge Song fan. I might be reading too heavily into like the whole Chinese judges feeding the Chinese fighters. Like
I think you're right on this one. It seems like a strong spot. Like anytime like there is that little age thing as well. So like I think you're probably gonna be more right than not, realistically. But on to the next one here. We got Yan Xiaonan. Familiar with that one? And I'm familiar with both the names, but walk me through game. What should I like about these two?
Yeah, some good fighters here. And prefacing things, I definitely think Richie could be a live underdog here. Obviously, big price disparity between these two. Yan is a very good boxer, clean striking, technical, can bang it out too in a firefight if she needs to. She like insanely high quality losses. Her 3 UFC losses are to a former champ, the current champ, and a top 5 fighter. And most recently, title loss to Wei Li, where she got taken down a bunch of times, but she actually took Wei Li down 3 times. Overall, she is literally the GOAT.
John Wei Li is my GOAT.
I love her. But Yan gave her a challenge. She was able to take her down 3 times, showcases her power often, technical striking, has been working on the grappling. Baby Shark, Tabitha Ritchie, good grappler, takes time, like works for positions rather than chasing subs. She could definitely get subs, but she'll look for positions before just chasing any sort of submission. Definitely heavy on top, hard to get her off once you're underneath her. Good pressure, decent ground and pound control. Open, like the ground and pound she uses or implements pretty often, that leaves her opponents open. In scrambles, allows her opportunities to maybe get a submission. Not the best striking, I'd say. It looks like it's improving, but I don't know really how much. She is kind of a one path to victory sort of fighter right now. Also, not the best takedowns, which always annoys me. In particularly women's MMA, I feel like we see a lot of these fighters who are nasty grapplers, but just can't shoot a takedown to save their lives. Tabitha isn't like completely hopeless with the offensive takedowns, but she definitely needs to work on it more if she's not going to get going on that striking a little bit faster. She's been in the UFC for a bit now. She does, however, have really, really good cardio. We saw that in her win over Angela Hill, high pressure. I just think her striking and wrestling need to improve, even though her BJJ is good. And yeah, I mean, Jan is the pick. She's just a better fighter, way more complete. I think Tabitha is probably live to win a round or so here, maybe, but Jan is, I think, clears.
I like it. I like it. All right, and on to the main event here. Peter Yan versus Davison Figueiredo. Names that we're all familiar with. I imagine that there's probably going to be good just numbers probably going towards Peter Yan's ways for I think he's favored, I guess, but I could easily be wrong here.
No, you're right. Piotr's like a 2-1 favorite right now, I think. Okay. So obviously PredictionStrike is giving you the buy of the lifetime here. Piotr is definitely the buy of the weekend. And I'll tell you why that is. So Figgy is the former flyweight champ, undefeated at bantamweight, where he looks really good. Massive cardio improvements, I'd say. Focus on the wrestling. He has a lot more takedowns in his last few fights than he did in like a larger span of fights. He has 7 takedowns in his last 3. And I think that has to do a lot with the weight change. Maybe entirely because of the weight change. Well-rounded guy overall, though. More well-rounded at bantamweight. BJJ black belt, good takedowns, like I said. He's coming off a decision win over Chito Vera, where he dropped him. And I think that was the first ever recorded Chito Vera knockdown, even though, like, I'm not going to give him too much credit for that. Chito's old, kind of washed. Figgy did well on the feet and the ground in that one. I'd like to see him put it all together, though, even though I'm kind of like, Chito got knocked down. He's the GOAT. Piotr, really good takedown defense, really good striking. But it is worth noting that, like, Figgy's takedown defense do look better than ever in this weight class. And Piotr is the former bantamweight champ of the world. Really, really good striker, solid takedown offense and defense, dangerous everywhere. I'd say his wrestling is underrated. Stands in that Muay Thai guard and just comes forward at you and bombs away. He also averages almost 2 takedowns a fight. 85% takedown defense, coming off his win over Song Yadong, where he had multiple takedowns and clean striking. And Jan ultimately should be the better striker, the bigger guy. Takedown defense is extremely good, and he's been defending takedowns at this weight class forever. My main issue with Figgy, like, I see the path for Figgy winning, and I totally get the reasoning. It's like Jan coming off that ACL rupture and meniscus tear. Figgy is able to wrestle a little bit better at this division. He's been on a winning streak and kind of is just like, seems like he's on that path right now. But ultimately, he is just not a 5-round fighter. And Piotr Jan is the definition of that. Figgy also got knocked out by Moreno. I think Jan should do him even worse than that. Ultimately, like, in the striking, I think Jan's got him beat. I think Piotr has that veteran wherewithal to get those takedowns to win rounds. He's known for doing that. He probably is going to drop 1 or 2 rounds at the beginning of the fight, but once it gets into those 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, I think Piotr is just going to start to take over here.
I like it. I feel the same way. I literally watched just a compilation of just Peter Yan takedowns on Aljo not that long ago, and I was like, how the hell did this guy ever lose?
Dude, yeah, I know, and it's like he definitely won that rematch.
Yeah, so it's just, I'm just looking at him like, I don't think I'd ever want to go against Peter Yan personally.
I feel like he's kind of underrated.
Oh, easily. Yeah. With that said, that's all we got this time. Grant, unfortunately, was not able to hang out with us this time around, but I'm confident he'll be here next time, so be it. But as always, he'll be missed there. But with that said, maybe I won't screw up the Chinese this time. 谢谢你们，再见。